A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Lunchtime News. Come to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I am Florin Rajendran. Let's now take a look at your headlines. Investigations underway into the island-wide power outage. Incessant weather conditions cause much inconveniences to the lives of many around the island. Explosion reported in a speedboat the Maldivian president was travelling in. Moving on to those stories in detail now. According to the Ministry of Power and Energy, the reason for the island-wide power failure early this morning was an electricity breakdown owing to a high voltage of electricity supply to the grid during a time low of demand. There was an island-wide blackout at 11:58 last night. Measures were taken to rectify the issue at around 2 a.m. today. Busy hours of the Ceylon Electricity Board is between 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. 2,100 megawatt is recorded as the average power demanded, which is later brought down to 950 watt. However, the supply of power to the power grid was restricted to 1,900 megawatts last night. The CEB goes on to note that the supply of power, however, was later reduced to 850 watts. Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy, Dr. Suren Batagoda, said that the electricity demand is low after 10 p.m. He said that it was during such a time of low demand that a high voltage of electricity supply to the grid led to a breakdown, resulting in the power failure. Dr. Batagoda added that an internal investigation has been launched into the incident. On to some weather news which is wreaking havoc in the island. The Met Department says that rainy weather conditions will be forecast in many parts of the island today and tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the National Building and Research Organisation says that the landslide advisory issued for the Badulla, Kegol, Ratnapura, Kalutara, Gaul, Matra and Hambantota districts have been lifted. It is difficult to specifically predict where rainfall will be expected due to intermonsoonal weather that is prevalent over the island. However, occupants of lowlands and residents living on the sides of riverbanks should exercise caution due to this. There is a threat of boulders collapsing and earth embankments caving in. RMS Bandara goes on to note that there is an impending threat of landslides in the Vedamulla area in Kothmale, which experienced a landslide last Friday. The Divisional Secretary has advised that 19 families residing in the area be evacuated.
Let's now take a look at some of the weather-related reports which were recorded in various locations over the past 24 hours.
Lowlands located near the Baddegama Agaliya, Baddegama Udugama, Naguda Gudugama main roads in the Gaul district were inundated owing to the overflowing of the Ging River. The Imaduwa Yakkala Mulla and Imaduwa Kodaguda main roads were also submerged owing to the overflow of the Pollatumodara river in Gaul. Meanwhile, our correspondent said that a minor landslide was reported in a mountain located near the Imaduwa Divisional Secretariat. Six houses were damaged owing to heavy winds that swept across Madaragiriya, Meegaswava and Viharagama areas. Our correspondent said that a 1-year-old child sustained minor injuries as a result. Meanwhile, 20 houses were damaged owing to heavy winds that swept across the Kantale area last evening as well.
A press conference was held in order to create awareness about the sequence of events organized by the Ministry of Housing and Construction in line with World Habitat Day.
The press conference was held at the Housing and Construction Ministry premises in Bathramulla under the auspices of Subject Minister Sajith Premadasa.
First, we will hold a program to coincide with the Housing Week. Secondly, we will hold a monthly program to coincide with World Habitat Day, and another 3-month program will be organized thereafter. We will then look into the renovation of the multi-storied apartment complexes, the opening of villages where we constructed 50,000 houses, the presentation of 1,000 ownership deeds, as well as the presentation of deeds in the northern and eastern provinces. The government has allocated 250 million rupees to plaster 1,000 houses from each district whose houses have not been plastered. A total of 25,000 houses will be plastered island-wide under this massive project.
කපරාරු නොකරපු නිවාස අංග සම්පූර්ණ කපරාරු කිරීමේ ඒ දෙවන්ත වැඩසටහන ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නට කටයුතු කරනවා.
The National Building Research Organisation says that Vadamulla Kutmale, which is home to 19 families, is under the threat of a landslide. 7 persons died and 2 persons sustained injuries owing to a landslide that occurred last Friday evening. Head of the Landslide Studies and Risk Management Unit of the NBRO, RMS Bandar, says that the tendency for a thin plate of sand to collapse has given cause to the landslide. He added that the people travelling along those roads should exercise caution as a result. The Department of Meteorology predicts the prevailing rainy weather conditions to persist for the next 2 days. Director of the department, S.R. Jayasekar, cited the intensity of the winds as the reason for the prevailing weather. Meanwhile, the department predicts that thunder showers will develop at most parts of the island and heavy rainfall of more than 100 millimeters are also expected at some places. Issuing a communique, the Australian High Commission in Sri Lanka says that the Australian government's policy against maritime people smuggling is clear and unchanged. The communique goes on to note that under the new Prime Minister of Australia, Malcolm Turnbull, Australia remains committed to protecting its border and will continue to stop anyone who attempts to come illegally by boat.
Issuing a communique, High Commissioner of Australia Moody said that cooperation between Australia and Sri Lanka to counter people smuggling has never been stronger, and anyone who attempts to travel illegally by boat to Australia will be detected, intercepted and either returned safely to Sri Lanka or sent to a regional processing centre in Papua New Guinea or Nauru. Referring to the recent Australian government announcement that it will resettle refugees fleeing the conflict in Syria and Iraq, High Commissioner Modi confirmed that this has no impact on Australia's policy to stop people attempting to travel illegally by boat to Australia. The communique goes on to note that Australia will only resettle those refugees who are registered by UNHCR and who are currently in Jordan, Lebanon and Turkey. She also said that these resettlement places will not be provided to anyone arriving in Australia illegally by boat.
Another phase of the Newsfirst classroom workshop is currently being held at the Sujata Balika Vidyalaya in Mathura. This is the 196th edition of Newsfirst Classroom Media Workshop. The workshop is being conducted with the aim of increasing media literacy among students. The workshop, which comprises a number of practical activities at the Sujata Balika Vidyalaya, saw the participation of around 250 students. Meanwhile, 2 holiday resorts built for the welfare of the police officers were declared open in Nuwara yesterday. This holiday resort, which was commissioned by the Department of Police, has been built in Gamanumawatha in Nuwara. This resort has been built for the junior police officers and inspectors. The foundation stone for the resort was laid in 2004 and construction took place in 5 phases. Thereafter, the event took place under the auspices of IGP N.K. Ilangakoon and views were expressed on the police recruitments and promotion procedures. Well, that's a wrap of lunchtime news here at Newsfirst. You can log into our website www.newsfirst.lk for these stories and much more. For the Newsfirst team, I am Florine Rajendran. Have a wonderful day ahead of you.